Hey guys, me again with another YouTube video. This one has been in the works for almost 2 years at this point. This is fairly old of an actual model itself. It has been sitting in the back and I have not brought it to the forefront of the channel until now. This is the Q Honey Badger. This is considered the Divinity edition. For those of you who don't know, I have different editions of things on the channel. I've kind of slowly stepped away from editions from the channel for a little bit because I've gotten to the point now where I think I'm good as a builder to get away from just doing master editions. So as a general brief overview, when I first started making my YouTube channel, I kept all my LDD files and whatnot, and those weapons that I first started doing were not the most accurate. They're not the most well shaped, not the best techniques going into them. So I came up with a naming scheme to go back and redo those weapons at future times, and those ended up being called Master Edition weapons. So weapons that I came back through and I revamped to a more acceptable quality and things like that. Lately, I've been doing that again, but instead I call it Divinity Edition. And the reason it's called Divinity Edition is because I think in my building techniques, my repertoire of being able to do certain things, that the Divinity Editions are the top of the line for things that I can and cannot do. I think the Divinity Editions are basically as perfect as I can get towards an actual model itself. Like I said, we stepped away from doing editions because I've now stepped into the forefront of just trying to do things as accurate as possible from the get-go instead of doing it kind of bad to start with. But in the future, they may or may not come back. So anyhow, this is the Divinity Edition for the Q Honey Badger. I have made plenty of Honey Badgers on the channel before. This is by and large the best looking one. Bear with me, the upper and handguard and stock color is not the color that I want it to be. This is rendered before Studio got the metallic sand yellow as a color inside of it. So it's going to be a little jarring going from this into the LDD version where the colors are actually accurate to what they should be. So kind of bear with me. A little bit of background on how this model came to be. This is a Divinity Edition lower receiver and upper receiver off of my AR-15, my lifelike AR-15, my LL AR-15 for those of you who don't know. It has been modified to more closely resemble the Q Honey Badger's upper receiver, though the lower receiver is basically unchanged, as is the magazine, because Honey Badgers take 5.56 magazines. The stock comes from the Lynx CQ300 from Call of Duty 4 Remastered version. The handguard comes basically almost straight off of the R4 from Rainbow Six Siege. That's one of Ash's primary AR-15s. And then at that point, it's just doing a couple different cosmetic changes to get everything up and running to what the Q Honey Badger looks like. So that's everything from start to finish on how this model came to be. And inside of LDD, this is what it actually looks like with the proper coloring, the metallic sand yellow and the copper receiver instead of the weird looking one. Whole bunch going on here. Most of this is stuff that we've seen before. We have a pretty wide PDW-esque style stock, pretty basic. You can slide this in and out to accommodate for a little bit of length, but not too much. 3 wide lower receiver built for this AR-15, entirely plate built magwell. This was really complicated to do, but I think it overall looks pretty great. 3 wide AR-15 grip, 3 wide magazine. It's got the grooves on it as is appropriate. Upper receiver is 3 wide as well, other than the plate built edges that come out quite a bit for the Honey Badger style of stock and whatnot. Brass deflector, your simple dust cover, AR-15 bolt. This is an older version of my AR-15 bolt. This is not the newer version, so it's not as detailed as the newer version. Bolt catch on this side, magazine release on this side, magazine release on this side. Pretty basic. This does retain my pins, so you can pull this pin, you can pull this pin, and that will release the upper receiver off of the weapon. So it is technically somewhat field strippable. It is not all the way field strippable, but you can pull the pins and pull the upper receiver off. Pretty wide octangular handguard. Really went for trying to get this octagon. There we go. That word is hard for some reason. As perfect as possible, and it is a free float handguard, so it does have a 4-wide internal circular suppressor integral to the actual weapon itself all the way throughout. And we do have 3-wide rails top and bottom of the weapon itself. That's pretty much it for the Q Honey Badger. Not a whole lot to say about the Honey Badger. It's kind of one of my favorite weapons because it's got a cool name to it. It makes some pretty iconic appearances in a few different video games. It's a cool weapon in general, even though it's an AR-15 platform, which is kind of sad. But that's okay. I have a soft spot for integrally suppressed weapons. The Velociraptor AK is like one of my favorite looking AKs. The Honey Badger, MP5SD. Like there's just a lot of integrally suppressed weapons out there that look absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to comment, rate, and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. See you guys later in another YouTube video another time.